stay clean, and he's going to train his ass off. And he's not going to be fearful of fighting somebody. Jesse James Leigh never turned the fight down. And guys like Paulie Ayala, they didn't turn the fights down. You know, it's that guy that's fearful that overanalyzes his opponents, starts turning guys down all the time. Sometimes let your manager do his job. He'll decide if he thinks it's a good fight or a bad fight or whatever. If not, get a manager you can trust that does understand your abilities and everything. And that's one of the things that with him, I always understood his abilities. And, you know, and so a lot of the fights that he wasn't supposed to win, he won. But, you know, also when he got beat, I made sure it was for a lot of money. But anyway, so that 100 fighters you line up on that wall, back to that, if you pull three or four out of there that win a world championship, you're lucky. You're lucky because something happens to them along the way. You know, either poorly, either not poorly managed, or they don't train where they're supposed to train. They wind up in drugs. So half of them you can pull out and they wind up in drugs, which is sad. I mean, it breaks my heart. You know, because it's just a reflection of society in general. You know.
But it's such a hard road anyway. To train that hard and make it, and then to turn to drugs or whatever, it just seems like, I don't know, it's kind of sad.
No, and that's, you know what, that's the bottom line with me, with fighters, is I have incredible amount of respect for anybody that walks through the ropes. And I've started some boxing Hall of Fames in different cities just to honor those guys. And like, and honor the trainers and the fighters, because you know, they literally leave their body and their soul in that ring.
Right. And how do you know when to quit? You know, you never know.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, and for me, I always want to show respect to them. Any fighter that fought for me growing up or whatever, I'm going to figure out a way for them to get him free. They're going to have a seat. They're going to have a seat at a fight that I'm involved. And I started the San Antonio Boxing Hall of Fame, the Corpus Christi Boxing Hall of Fame. We're getting ready to start the Fort Worth and the Dallas, and you know, because these guys, they need to be honored.
They do.
If they're not in the regular Boxing Hall of Fame, I mean, these guys, you know, just you wouldn't think it'd mean anything. The San Antonio Boxing Hall of Fame, I literally started. I had 2 weeks' notice. I started because Joe Souza was about to die, and I wanted Joe to be honored, and so I literally started that. We put in Joe Souza and Tony Ayala and Jesse James Leigh, John Michael Johnson and Robert Quiroga. If we're going to have a boxing Hall of Fame, you got to put the 3 champions in there. But these other guys are about to die, and nobody's ever done anything for them. Nobody appreciates or respects what they've done in the past, and you got to, you know, it's like, you know what they put into this business over the years, and you want them to be appreciated for it, you know. And so
because so many people don't know what goes into a fight to promote, and let alone train for one, and for the short amount of rounds that you're in there,
right.
The glory, that's the glory, that they don't really see the months and long
hours. Most of these trainers, like a lot of these trainers and stuff, there's hundreds of kids that go through the gym, they make nothing on it, they make zero. You know, they go pick them up, they bring them to the gym, get them off the street, give them an opportunity to be somebody, be something. You know, and you know, only thing you see is the one he's in the corner with in a world championship fight or something. You don't see that. The kids that don't make it, that maybe they helped along the way.
Right.
And so, you know, so I try, you know, although I don't work directly that much with the trainers and the fighters, I mostly work with the fighters. You know, I just have this incredible amount of respect for the fighters and what they have to do in this business. It's a hard business. I sparred one time when I was 28 years old with a guy. I hadn't fought since I was 17. And I thought, you know, I'm gonna move around. Whoa, what a wake-up call that was for me. I mean, within 30 seconds, my feet were on fire. They were burning like crazy. The guy hit me in the rib. I bent over. I'm like, whoa, time out. Oh, my gosh. Then he hit me in the nose, and I thought I was going to die. I didn't remember being hit in the nose like that. And I thought, oh, my God, what if the guy had really cut loose? What if he had really hit me with like a pair of 8-ounce gloves with no headgear on, something like that? I said, okay, I'm an idiot. this ain't ever happening again. So I never walked in that ring again after that. I said, this is crazy, man. These guys, it makes you appreciate what they do. Sometimes you've got to get hit to know what it feels like to get hit. But nobody hit like that when I boxed at 6 till I was 12. I didn't remember getting hit like that. Mostly, apparently, it wasn't very hard. You know, I was 17 and I got a little taste of it. They were hitting pretty hard then. I just boxed in like 3 tournaments. My baseball coach said, Lester, this is crazy. You're going to be a boxer or a baseball player? I said, well, I'm a baseball player, Coach. I just want to box one time, you know, just to see, you know, because it's been a while since I kind of miss it. And I want to try. He said, well, you've lost about 10, 12 pounds. Because you need to gain 10, 12 pounds. He goes, this is crazy. He says, you know, you've got a future as a baseball player. I don't know about boxing, but you need to get focused on what you're supposed to be doing. So I gave it. I said, okay, all right, Coach. And but anyway, so I know what it feels like to be hit. Okay, I know it. Not to the extent of being on a regular basis, but believe me, I know what it feels like to be hit. And, so that's a lot of my respect comes from that.
Well, that's amazing. But boxing, I think, owes you a lot, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this interview, because a lot of people don't know what's behind the scenes or why, when they're watching a fight on HBO or like Pacquiao or whatever, you had a big part of it. And I just think a lot of people need to know that.
Well, you know what? But you know what? There's a lot of people do, and the satisfaction for me is not in people knowing or it's like it's nice because you have a series of accomplishments. Every time you do an event, when it's over, you know, you have an opportunity to feel good about something. You don't have to wait 5 years down the road or something like that. But to me, every event to me is a world championship fight, even an ESPN fight or something like that. I want that promoter to know that I busted my ass. That's the kind of baseball player I was, and the kind of football player I was, and this kind of fighter I was. And I was a pretty good little fighter, but it just, I want to give him my best every time I have a box. There's been a few times when maybe I felt like I didn't, but I picked myself back up right away. So, I gotta get busy, because every event, it's so hard for these promoters to make money in this business. And it's my obligation for them to make money, to do as well as they hope to do or better. And, and if they don't make money, I feel like crap about it. I do, because it's, I don't want anybody, no deal is a good deal unless everybody's making money. And so my job is to try to make everybody money and for it to walk away, be successful, for TV to be happy. My reputation with the TV guys is ESPN, with HBO, with Showtime, everybody else. They know if you put a fight in Texas and I'm involved in it, there's going to be people in the stands and nobody's going to get embarrassed. We're going to figure out a way. We're going to figure out a way to make this event work. There's been times I tell people, look, it's a bad event for Texas. It's not going to work. I'll actually lose business out of it. And but I'll do everything I can to make it successful. And you learn over the years. You learn the different things that drive people to be interested in coming to the fights, but it's so every event is important to me. Just like sometimes the little ones are as much work or harder than the really big ones. Exactly. And I've probably worked on many fights that did $300,000-$500,000 gates, $1 million gates. I worked on a lot of them. And it's hard to do $100,000. Just $100,000 gate in boxing is hard. I think I've worked on pretty much every gate in the last 30 years in Texas. I did over $100,000. I probably did 48 of the 50. I don't know if you, but so nobody knows how hard more than me how hard it is to sell tickets to a boxing event these days. But if we lose San Antonio, Texas, if boxing dies in San Antonio, Texas, it dies in Phoenix, it dies in LA, it dies in Chicago, guess where else it's going to die? It's going to die in Las Vegas too. That's the thing that I keep prodding TV networks and promoters, encouraging them. You got to stay with the grassroots of boxing. That's why people buy it on cable. That's why they buy it That's why they go to Vegas to see the fights. We have to have Las Vegas.
Right.
It's a glitz and glamour for boxing and everything. But you got to also have boxing in all these cities and where the grassroots boxing fan, where you develop them. Right. They have to have live boxing events to go to. And some of these promoters, my biggest beef is that they will literally take $5,000 more from a casino that will do 500, 800 people that are giving the tickets away. They're literally giving the tickets. They don't care who shows up, how enthusiastic they are, whether it's a good show for television or a bad show for television. The crowd makes a big difference. Mm-hmm. But if they can make $5,000 more for that kind of crowd, then go somewhere like Phoenix or Chicago or San Antonio, where maybe they can have 2,000 people or 3,000 people, and they all care and they all bought the tickets.
Right.
They'll do it. They'll take the $5,000, and what happens is people tune in, they turn the TV on, and they see some of these fights in these small casinos, and it's like, man, this is terrible. How boring can it be? The crowd noise and the level of enthusiasm in the building is so critical to the product you see on TV.
Some of the best fights I've ever seen were never televised, and a lot of people have never even heard of the fighter. But like in Phoenix, like Jerry puts on really good shows. Michelle Rosado with face-to-face events that packs this little warehouse place in downtown Phoenix.
Yeah.
But she throws a fight there. It's like screaming. It's like way back in the day when my grandfather used to take me to boxing in Phoenix or to wrestling. It's like that kind of crowd, real vibrant.
Yep.
And it's coming to a big return in Phoenix now. And it's amazing to see because for so long it was just dead.
Yeah. Boxing is I've been involved in, I played many sports, and baseball's my first love always. All I ever wanted to be was a baseball player. And by the way, I did play professional baseball.
Who's
I played for the El Paso Diablos. Okay, I made my professional debut at 49 years old. I caught in a game for the El Paso Diablos, which is a independent league team. Mm-hmm. Same league as the Grand Prairie Air Hogs, and which is about a AA level. And I actually caught 3 innings in the game, and I batted once. So if you go to baseballreference.com,
pull it up.
I had my one at bat in professional baseball. I walked, and so.
But at least you made it. You made it.
Yeah. No, I played the game. It's a regular season game. They put me on the roster. I was on the roster for 3 days. I caught the bullpen a couple of days. Then I actually played in the game. It was actually a wire story. I was the oldest player in professional baseball that year. But the best compliment was that Bernie Carbo, the manager of the other team, Pensacola Pelicans, the biggest compliment was that when I started the game, and they pulled me out after the 3rd inning. They said, "You'd like how about a hand?" They said something about how about a hand for our rookie catcher, 49-year-old Lester Bedford, like that. And Bernie Carbo was coaching third base, and he looked over. He said to Mike Marshall, who was the manager, former Los Angeles Dodger. He said to Mike, "Wait a second, that catcher was 49 years old." He goes, "Holy shit, we had no." And nobody told the other team that the guy catching that day was going to be 49 years old. But I remember I took my mask off for the national anthem. The umpire looked at me and he went, "So something ain't right with this picture. This dude's a little older than everybody else." And sure enough, and then I had a guy come up to the plate one time, and he looked at me. I had my mask on. He looked at me kind of funny, and I think he was thinking, I think this guy might be a little bit older, but he couldn't tell otherwise because body type and everything, and he really couldn't. And really, there was nothing. There's nothing when I was catching that indicated that I was like an older player or anything like that. It's just like anybody else catching. And I didn't feel any different than I did when I was 22 years old catching my last college baseball game. Because my legs have felt the same, and I was back to just receiving the ball, and I got the bat, and anyway, so I got that. I scratched that little itch to be a professional baseball player, and let me tell you, it was it was the second most exciting thing I did as an athlete, or in my